What is up, y'all? How's it going? How's it going? It is Steve Teilmann here with Trade the Pool. It's Friday once again. Friday already. It has been a spicy week. You can see on our charts here. This is weekly on the left, daily on the right. You can see this daily chart just plunging through levels that we had marked out as support going back a couple weeks here, right? So it has been quite the waterfall here, and it could get worse. Could get worse. When we look at the weekly here, what do we see? We see bottom wicks in this zone. I like to put the zone from the first bottom wicks, and then that usually gets run just a little bit, or often gets run just a little bit, but it forms a general zone in a distribution, potential distribution range. So now we are seeing, can we undercut this kind of rounded top pattern, find a significant support, and get back up into this range we have here? Or are we marking down into a new range? If we are, don't be so eager to buy yet. We do have reasons to believe that we could catch. It's a notable moving average here, the weekly 50. But at the same time, if we lose this level, we could see a pretty steep fall through this zone that just got chopped up through here, back to where we actually have had significant price history here. So I'm not trying to be a doomer. I'm just saying how this looks to me is that we're in the middle of a range. We're in the middle of a bigger range, deciding which direction we're going to go. What is up? Mike, I scared you? all of a sudden I disturb your peace? It's some crazy guy rambling in your ear? Well, I apologize. That's on me. We got talk in the chat as usual. Welcome, brother. Gold and silver, very interesting. Stagflation and rising rates, no bueno, talk saying. Yeah, so this is interesting. This is a scenario we've been talking about for about a year now as a possibility, this stagflation scenario. Not saying I'm calling my shot. Never said this was what was going to happen, but I said, hey, maybe we're heading in that direction, and I'm not seeing anything to assuage that fear at this point. But you know what? Like I said, there's a lot that can happen here. What I will say is that I think every single number on our screen is wrong, and that's because one of two things can happen. Either the Strait of Hormuz can open up, we can figure out a way to reach a semi-peaceful resolution, something that doesn't majorly inhibit and impact our shipping routes and our global economy. This could lead to a sharp rally to the upside. But how does that happen? I'm not sure we have a clear path towards that happening, which seems more likely to me. And what I've been saying for a couple weeks now is this is going to be messy. It's going to take a long time. And this is not Iran conflict, Monday morning, short oil. It's not that type of situation like it's been in the past, right? So this is going to take time to play out. And as it does, the market can continue to bleed. You see that we're losing key technical supports just about every other day here. So we got to play safe. We got to keep protecting our capital. Doesn't mean you can't take some plays. I'm taking plays, but I'm stopping out on a lot of the swings, and I'm making most of my money on my hedges, which doesn't feel good, right? It means that it's a good time to keep sizing down on your position. So this is like my third kind of level of like, all right, now I'm trading real small. I'm sitting over 50% cash. The stuff I'm sitting in my like Roth and my long-term stuff, it's stuff that I don't even care if it goes down because I believe in it that much. So I have to have real conviction to hold core positions here. And they can keep puking. I'll buy some more when the market starts to turn around. I'm just chilling, in the trade account. We're looking downside more often, but we're willing to just take small moves because the negative gamma mean reversion bounces can be very brutal, right? They can be savage if you're holding short. And like on, what was it? Just yesterday, we saw that crazy squeeze end of day back up through the 200-day moving average. Let me go to the intraday chart there to show you. I was in chat thinking, hey, this could be the bottom. We're reclaiming the 200-day with strength. Did not happen, did it? No, so this is just another sign that we are not ready to get really involved long. What I would also say is that generally Fridays that are big red, they see some follow through on Monday. So here's the TLDR, the too long didn't read of my read on SPY. Middle of a big range, testing the breakdown of this major potential distribution top. We could see a pretty sharp mean reversion rally back to moving averages and still end up dropping very harshly over the next couple weeks if we don't see resolution. So our eyes are on the headlines, the news, the oil charts. That's going to tell us whether we can hold this zone and get our dead cat bounce and potentially buy us some time for good news and a potential path towards clarity and resolution to emerge when we're over a key level, as opposed to if we're not getting that news and we're not finding traction over this zone, we can just keep on sliding. So for me, I'm keeping hedges on. I'm keeping holding my core positions of oil. I sold a lot of it, but you know what? I'm still holding that little bit. So now that I've gotten stopped out of a lot of like the momentum stuff, the space names, for example, that's keeping me the right amount of safe. I don't need to size up on oil and potentially be wrong twice. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's a hard moment to play here. Look at the rally on SPY after hours, by the way. The one play that I did take today, I took most of today off because it was gnarly and I'm a little burnt out. So the only trade I did take was not after hours, but going into the close here, I was thinking, man, we got all the way down to 645 without any real back test of the 650 puke level. So this was a clear breakdown here. I wish I was in front of the charts to trade this, but you know what? Saving that mental capital so that I'm not worn out when it's time to start buying. That's where I'm really at. So this 650 level got puked and never got revisited. I thought it needed to get retested at some point. So I was thinking, man, we're really oversold here and we found a buyer. So I got involved right about here. Very small gamble. I was saying, hey, stops at low of the day. I'm willing to risk this little amount for a potential move back to 650. What I did is I said, hey, so honestly, I tried to buy a 0-day expiration and my broker locked me out. They said, no, it's too late in the day. So I went 1 day expiration. I got I got 25% on a 1 day contract, trading it up into the close here at 648, left one runner on, and that went a little bit higher, and I just closed it out when I had to take a shower to get ready to stream here right about here. So it was a nice little mean reversion trade, and these are sometimes all you can really ask for a reliable play. If you're a day trader, it's really hard to be a swing trader right now. So it's a good time to kind of shut those systems down until they start firing again, until you start seeing a lot of setups again in those systems, and you can start just focusing on these intraday level-to-level moves. And so it's not as glamorous, but it keeps you busy, it keeps your skills sharp while you wait for these higher probability opportunities to arise on a higher time frame. So yeah, we looks like we closed a little early because we're getting the squeeze up into the 650. The potential reclaim after hours. So basically next week, let's watch the 650. It's going to be a big level. I'm imagining that we're going to see some play to the upside and we're looking for areas to short when it does bounce over the 650 pivot. But like I said, it could be a pretty significant rally here. So let's keep an eye. Maybe on Monday, we open a little above 650, we drop below it, we back test it, and then we get a short off of 650. Maybe we get some news over the weekend, and that can really change where we open. So it's kind of hard for me to predict right now. So like I said, middle of the range, let's see what we get. Oops. All right, so guys, that's SPY. But what we're really going to talk about here today is this market madness challenge that we have going on. That's going to be the little focus. We're still going to get into charts after if there's anything you want to talk about, so stick around. But I want to recap what we've got on the scoreboards here so far because it's been a really fun challenge. Really quick, let's just go over the comments before we jump into something new here. Hey, Tyler, good to see you, man. Always good to see you. You're shorting CRM at 195 after it ran up this morning. CRM. Meanwhile, Talk saying SAS, software as a service upside. I'm not sure. Let's take a look at the charts here. So first off, the weekly on CRM. These software as a service names, they led the market down. And so they've been actually showing resilience here as the rest of the market kind of catches up, similar to how crypto was one of the weakest things while a lot of other risk-on names were still going. That bottomed out, and now it's starting to show relative strength while the rest of the market is weak. So there might be this mean reversion to the upside, even if software as a service names can go lower. We could see that kind of action. And so often for these dead cat bounces, you can be looking for the ones that got beat up the first and the most to be the ones that pop the most later. So we can see, I'm not sure. On a daily chart, we can zoom in a little bit here. On this daily chart, I'm seeing indecision. So there's two ways you could look at it. You could say Adam and Eve bottom potentially here, which is a sharp bottom for the first one. So that's the capitulation type move. This is relatively sharp. It's not incredibly sharp. but decent move off the bottom there, and now it's kind of rounding. What I don't like is this kind of rounding price action here. This feels very bearish in a way that doesn't present itself until there's a big decisive candle down. CRM, big relative strength today. That's very interesting. So it's indecisive for me because basically, like I said, this is a rounding kind of distributive pattern, but they can always be saved, right? They can always be caught if new buyers step in. So what you have is this kind of squeezing action, right? And then we wick underneath it and we do close above it. So now I would imagine that we try to test the top of this little pattern. The top of, sorry, this pattern here. And how it's going to probably look is that price will do one of two things. What it could do is it could breach this downtrend line, back test it, and start kind of acting constructive and proving or disproving this potential distributive area. So that's how it would kind of look. You'd want to see the break of this kind of top area and then a retest. Maybe it goes a little deeper. Oops. This goes a little deeper to these moving averages or something, and then a catch. What you don't want to see is a rejection off of that top line on a bounce next week. If we get a market bounce next week early, I kind of feel like we have more downside just on Monday, and then we could have a potential bullish week. So I need to think about these software as a service names a little more, but I would say definitely this 195 to 196 zone. That's going to be your key pivot there. If it can breach above that, back test it, it'll try to push this downtrend line. If it can break above that and back test that, then it can push for the top of the range. And that's going to be where it starts finding significant resistance. Oops. Regardless of whether it is bottoming or not. Because you have this gap here. Whoa. There we go. You have this gap here that aligns with the falling, what is that? 50-day moving average. So that overhead resistance is going to be significant, and you're kind of seeing it on these three top wicks. So keep an eye for that. If we can, maybe flush out and form a nice higher low, a more definitive higher low. Big sharp move like that. Then we can start looking at this being a curled, valid double bottom on a long-term perspective. I think that probably it's most prudent to, I'm typing in SASS, IGV, that's the index, to just look at the index here. And it's kind of, yeah, looking very similar. It's, to me, this looks like a failed flag. And now it's trying its best to hold this, but it's got real work to cut out for it. Gun to my head, mean reversion bounce here. And it needs one more flush out to form a significant higher high. And that would align with the market, I think, needing one more flush out and then a potential reclaim. Or it needs to, really, really fall and expand down in the range like we saw on this weekly. So either small bounce, mean reversion up, or we start sliding. Okay, guys. All right. Welcome, Huiji. Good to have you in here. Oh, Talk, you saw the VG? Okay, I gotta pull up my trading view just to collect my flowers quite briefly, because this was a really good trade I took this week. I was real happy with this one. So, as usual, shout outs to Cape Cod Flats, one of the best traders I know, an OG in every sense of the word. He put this on my radar, and so he put it on my radar. Let me pull the chart up, and then I was going through. I run a lot of scripts and stuff that compile information from various sources that I trust to try to kind of just get a better feel on things when there's a lot of moving and shaking happening, especially geopolitically. So it was interesting. In one of these that was compiling a bunch of research from some geopolitical analysts and economists that I follow, one name that I basically have a script that compiles all this, analyzes it, and then gives it to me through the lens of a market participant, like what are some potential trade angles here. So VG came up from multiple sources there, and then I got this great trader in my server telling me about it too. So that was last week. VG here, pull it full screen for y'all. There we go. So on the left, we have the daily chart. On the right, the weekly. To me, this looked similar to FLNC when it formed this massive double bottom and tested this neckline and then squeezed quite hard and quite far first target was this 15 to 16 zone. So that's where we monetized 15 to 16. Yes. So this is how we played this. Going into the daily here. Actually, let's pull up the daily on this side so we get these indicators. All right. So we had this big downtrend line. We had the 200-day, the purple. We had it already flagging and gapping up. I didn't catch it in here. I would have loved to. It got on my radar on here, and how I looked at it is essentially it broke the first of two major downtrend lines. The first one caused this structure to gap up. Then it's digesting this major downtrend line in a very healthy way. It's also digesting this gap in a very healthy way. So see, it gaps up through it, finds sellers. It refills this gap. It consolidates back and forth. So that's the setup I was looking for with this zone. Then in this 4-day consolidation here is when I started buying pretty aggressively. We were buying very heavily on, this day right here, I believe. Towards the end of the day at like 12.50, something like that. That sounds right. I think my first buy was a little early at 12.80 on one of these days, something like that, when it broke this flag formation here. So VG, what they do is they export natural gas. So if natural gas exports go up, well, they do amazingly. You can see just this massive volume as well. This was putting it on my radar, and this was after earnings. This is a post-earnings gap setup with a lot of confluence, right? And then with the overarching scope of like, I do still have like, I have a starter of some Microsoft shares. I have, FCX, which is copper, which is going to, move with growth names as well. So I have stuff that's definitely going down if the war goes up, right? So it provides a really nice foil to those, a nice hedge. So if stuff resolves in the Middle East, well, hey, my long-term holdings, they go up nicely. Beautiful. I can start adding to those. If it doesn't, well, then these names explode and everything else has a really hard time. So really, really happy with our sells too. This was our target. I held this day at 1480 because it looked like it was very, very strong into the close. And then I sold in the morning here over 16, somewhere like 1618 or something like that. So really happy with that. And then, oh wow, yeah, nice day today. So then we got out of everything in the morning here. And then I said, I think it's a good buy at the end of the day. I actually didn't pick up any more, and that would have been a really, really nice trade there. Yeah, up 11% today. So that's crazy. I think this name keeps going higher, and I wish I just reloaded completely because those contracts went from 50 cents to 250, 250 to $3 up here. I was out at 250 and 270. And man, they got really cheap again. So that would have been an amazing little back and forth swing. But we'll take this, and I might just start a position again if they have a little bit of a red day on Monday. Although we could just see the big gap up. So crazy trade here on VG, and I think these energy names still have legs. All right. What else we got in the comments? Getting windy, Mike? All right. Oh, snap. Give me 1 second, guys, because behind the scenes we might have something brewing, a little treat for y'all. Let me convene with One-Eyed Joe briefly. All right, guys. So we're going to be getting into the Market Madness Challenge here. We're going to be going over the brackets, talking about the winners, the losers. I'm scared to see where I stand because today was not good for my port. My only hope is that Airplane Jane's port crashed a little bit harder. So, okay, so what we're going to be doing here is when we get into this, we're going to have a few of our competitors in the chat as well, and we can get into what they saw in the charts, why they picked them, anything they want to talk about, if they do. And if not, I can just go over all of these charts, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So let me pull that up and we can get on into it. Hey, Ross, good to see you, man. Hope you had a good week. Spring is here, absolutely. The vernal equinox. This is fun, guys. Do you guys do any time-based cycles trading? Because this is an interesting time of change in the world and the seasons. It all kind of lines up. So it's interesting. It's interesting. Don't give it too much weight, but I do like watching these cycles. Also, Gann cycles are very cool. Every like 45 or 90 days from a major inflection point, you can watch for inflection points there as well. So in these vernal equinoxes, in these, big seasonal changes, well, they align with the quarterly OPEXs too. So this doesn't have to be super esoteric, arcane juju. It's not just reading moon signals, for example. It aligns with major market signals as well. So interesting time of change, worth noting. Yeah. Jane's got it on lock in the name department. Although I will say, Bulls on Parade, pretty solid. I know we got some Rage fans in here. I know Mike listens to some Rage Against the Machine every now and again. Hey, I love it. Yeah, Ross gets the cyclicality. Everything moves in cycles, guys. This whole universe is on a sine wave. Whether it's light frequency, whether it's a stock, it's all ups and downs, right? It's all ups and downs. All right. So we have the leaderboard, and we're going to be bringing that up and talking about it. Whoops, that's the wrong window. Bear with me here. Okay. Now we got it. All right, guys. So first off, let's go over the matchups here. We have Big Money Mitch up against Josh Smith. The dream team is having a hard time. So I love I love the display here. Mitch, don't let the green fool you. He is down in the hole, 15 grand. But you know what? That's gonna be enough to beat Josh, currently sitting at minus 32, call it 33,000 there. So tough week for the dream team. I think he got stuck in a halt and a dilution or something, which highlights that this is a really hard thought experiment or game that we're playing here, guys. It's not easy to say, hey, I'm just going to hold 5 things. Even for 5 days, it can be hard, right? You can see so much different price action in the week. And of course, I love our CEO, Michael Katz, amazing guy, but he just had to make it a little harder for us and schedule this, when the market was melting down. He is a short bias trader, so maybe this was his plan all along. Maybe this was his big plan all along, because he would be doing better than most of us, I think, at minus 16,000. Believe it or not, it's been a tough week. If not for Chris H, absolutely crushing this week. So Chris H, if you're in the chat, we got to give you your flowers, brother, because that's some insane trading going on. We're going to have to break down what you went into when we get into that in just a little bit. But for now, just revel at that number, because he is leading the pack, I do believe. Let's look at our players. Oh, I'm sorry, our coaches tab here. Yes, Chris H, number 1, clearly leading by almost 20K. Kevin Avery and the rug pullers, they are holding up the line. So we got to talk about Kevin Avery versus Michael and the quants. The robots are having a hard time. The clankers are in distress right now. So is this what they meant by the AI bubble popping? Michael's down 58K. Oh no, it's a tough week for Michael, and he is pulling up the rear here. I believe Michael made a calculated bet on concentrated leveraged healthcare. So Michael may be losing fake money. I'm losing real money. I hold XLV. It's not fun, but I do believe healthcare is going to be essential going forward at some point. So Kevin putting in some work. He got the BATL short on the first day. He was instantly up about 79K, I think, on the very first day, just absolutely housing us, just cooking us. So congrats to Kevin and the rug pullers there. Moving on, we can't skip over Valerie and Annette here. It is a tale of 2 tapes here. Valerie absolutely cooking with some of her picks. I'm not sure if she was short or long by, so we need to get into that. But whatever she did, it worked in spades here. Up 135,000, call it 136,000. Compared to Annette, down 16,000. You notice how I'm being pretty gracious to these red numbers, because when we click mine, it's going to be a big one. Because you got to go hard in the paint on these competitions, guys. Nobody wants to see me buy relative strength SPY. I could just full port RSP and just probably be in the top quarter, but that's no fun. That's no fun at all. Yeah, Huiji's in. Let's go in round 2. Are you guys playing? Who are your picks? Because guys, I'm not gonna lie, I was going through these I skimmed through these, and I'm seeing some of my name now. I'm seeing some of my name now, especially towards the top of the leaderboard. In the top tens, we got a few of my acolytes, my disciples, but it was looking a little light in the Steve category. And I'm not going to guilt trip you because you guys have your reasons. There's a lot of great traders on this board, but I was hoping to see a bit more of my name. So I've got a chip on my shoulder. I want to come back strong in round two here. We will see where I settle. I don't know where I settled up today, so this will be a surprise. I'm saving it for last, guys. Let's see. Hey, Coach TB in the house. Coach TB in the house. Let's talk about your matchup. We got Tony B, the coach himself, up 111K. What a pretty round number that is. 111 in the profits there. One-Eyed Joe, our lovable producer, having a bit of a tougher time. Down 23K. Down 23K, but it's been a tough week. If you had any longs in your port, they've been probably getting hammered. Probably getting hammered. The week started out so good for me, too. I was feeling very comfy in second place with Nvidia cooking into the Jensen report. The big spike up. I was bigly in second place for about 5 minutes before that spike faded. So it's a what would you call that? It's a doggy dog world, right? You got to be quick, and it's hard when you can't hit that sell button. I was sitting there going, "Oh, I wish I could sell so bad," but that's not the game we're playing. So it's gonna be tough. Are we ready? Are we ready to see? Oh God, here we go. Oh no. All right, guys. It looks like there might not be a round two for this guy because I am currently sitting down 52K. That's because half of my $1 million port is in Nvidia long, 2x Nvidia long. I also have a good quarter in ASTS. That's probably not looking so great today either. Space Names had quite a wicked meltdown after looking like they wanted to turn the corner out of their consolidation pennants multi-month. So Airplane Jane playing it safer. She's still got some wings on her plane. I'm crash landing here. So that is the name of the game here. You go hard or you go home. Looks like I might be going home here. So sitting on these coaches leaderboard here, we have the top three, Chris H, Team CLS in a clear first place with 179 up on the board. Kevin Avery holding in at number 2 there. He was number 1, but he's not going anywhere. Sitting up 167. That's going to be enough to get to the next round for sure. Valerie absolutely cooking here at plus 136K, and she is going to be holding up third place as and passing on to the next round here. Tony as well getting past the bracket there, and it's really nice and clean, right? Our top 4 all green. Everybody else we're having trouble. And me and Michael battling for last place, battling for the draft pick for next year, I guess. What a turn of events. How the turntables, guys. How the turntables. I want to talk about a few of the players as well, and then I want to go into some of these stock picks about how we got here. You know, it's a freeze frame moment. You're probably wondering how I got here. 55K in the hole. But let's see. So Chris's team here, he knew what he was looking for in the market, and he was right. So he was full short Amazon, Hood, Turb, Baba, and Master. MicroStrategy. I always call it Master. It looks like Master. It is not the master of its own domain this week. So what we're going to do is we're going to put we're going to do a little split screen action for you here. And we're going to talk about these charts as we go. Come on. You guys see me struggling? I have a little bit of mouse lag because I have so much stuff open. So I'm trying to find the exact way to drag. There it is. We got it. We're in there. Okay. All right. Full screen on the daily here. So what's up first? I saw Turb. I want to look at Turb because I think that's where a lot of this money came from. Turbo Energy. So we enter these positions on Monday. What was Monday? It's been a long week, guys. The 16th. Monday the 16th. So right at open, he got short. TURB at 378. 378. It is currently trading a little bit lower. Down 44%. So that's going to be a nice cushion, nice chunk of those gains. Great call there. So what were you looking at? If you're in the chat, I'd love to see your trigger or your thought process here. What it looks like to me is we had blow off top here, big red day. I'd call this like a a rejection candle, like it's breaking this big uptrend. It did kind of hold. So you did see a small bounce, but what's happening? What's happening? Top wicks when it gets to any level of interest. See these pivots on the daily here? See this top wick here? Little zone going on there. And if you saw a rejection in there, that would have been an amazing little area to take a short after this initial rejection of the blow-off move. So then 3 days of just negative tape. Big top wicks of bulls trying, every day closing at the lows. Closing at the lows, closing at the lows, now testing this moving average right on the Monday. So you've had 1, 2, 3 tests, you have the blow-off move, you have a really good setup here for potential wiping out. I really do like this setup. Really nice trading there. All right. Awesome stream. Thank you so much, Hercules Jack. Always great to see you in here, man. Definitely let me know what charts you're looking at. We can talk ONDS. I think that one's been a little bit of a wild one. It's just always the most chaotic basing process ever. Like it shoots up 10%, down 10%, up 10%. And then it makes its decision in like a month. So we can talk about those as well. But I appreciate the kind words. Huiji says he's changed his mind on MicroStrategy from short to long at last minute. Interesting. So I'm a crypto bull. I'm still in my Ethereum. I sold a lot of it. I sold most of the calls, but I'm still in it. MicroStrategy has an interesting thing going on. I think it's setting up for a really juicy short. I'm not gonna lie, but there's a chance that this is carving out a bottom and will go higher. I don't know. This is a name that I'm just looking for reasons to short, though, to be honest. So when I see this kind of downtrend line or uptrend line getting tested and broken like this, oh man, that kind of looks like a washout, doesn't it? Looks a little bit like could be a washout here. Going over to Ethereum, I think we are going to see some relative strength there. Come on, let me in. There we go. Yeah, relative strength, but you always got to worry. Is this just a bigger bear flag? Is this still a bear flag? See what I'm saying? It's a possibility and it's testing. So a gap down would not be good. We could definitely see a gap down. We could also see a gap down with a strong close on Monday. Like I said, a little bit of a flush out with a close around the middle of the candle or near today's close. That could set the table for another swing on up and confirming out of this bottom. As of now, though, still finding big sellers at the neckline here. Still trapped. All right. We got some SMCI chatter. Let's take a look at that before we get into these stock picks a little more. I know I'm distractible today. Whoa, big move. Big move. Is this a zero? Is this going to zero at some point? This was like, man, they really wanted to hold this extended basing process. Big gap down, I'm assuming, on earnings. This is looking tough for sentiment in the chip space. SMCI has always been a, let's be real, it's a shitco. So, you know, don't think Nvidia is going to zero just because this thing might. But man, what a clean short setup. I wish this was on my radar like 3-4 days ago here. Posting top wicks over this moving average, rejecting this downtrend line so much. And this is a pattern that so many crypto bros are going to, not crypto, this isn't crypto, but it's kind of, so many risky traders are going to try to long this. And that allows for a real nice riptide down if they are wrong and they don't want to admit it. And there's a lot of cultists around this name. Less than before, but still a good amount. I think it's going to go back to all-time highs and higher. It's not happening, bros. Sorry. Maybe in 20 years. Talks long circle. That's a great move. Assuming it was not like, yeah. I mean, he's been talking about it for a while. His C cups. He's a fan. Who isn't? That's a hell of a move. Wowee. Just a quick double and then another 30% for funsies, because hey, why not? Not even 30. It'd be 30% from the double. Went 50 to 100, then another 60%, I guess you could say. Regardless, we have, whoa. Come on, let me. All right, there we go. 116% move. Not too shabby. So that's off the strength in the dollar, the strength in crypto, and I don't know. What else, talk? Why is it doing this? I don't get it. I thought I did. I don't think I do now. Going through, let's go through these picks, though, because Chris was dead on, short in everything, and I want to see what his picks were. So we had Turb for the high velocity juice. Hood looks like it's going to continue to go down. So far, he's up a decent amount, but this thing hasn't broken yet. If this thing wants to break, it can flush quite significantly because this thing's got airtime. It's been up high for a long time. When you look at the monthly, it's right back about the 50%. Under the 50%. So at this point, if it doesn't save here, why shouldn't it go back to this consolidation zone? Why shouldn't it go back specifically to this imbalance on the monthly here at 51? At 50. Yeah, at 50. I'll buy hood at 50. I might short at 250. Still looks bad to me. Another name like this, Roblox. So you got to think about names in baskets, guys. They all get bought for certain reasons, and those reasons are what unify them and make them share price action. Because literally, if you look on Bloomberg, you'll see Hood and Roblox in the same baskets, whether they're high beta, XYZ, Cathie Wood type plays, or whatever they call it, There's these baskets that they build, and they move together. And when certain things happen in the market, they'll buy all of these names or they'll sell all of these names, so they move together. I'm sitting here waiting for my Roblox chart to load. Come on, man. There we go. It's just user error. Error was between keyboard and chair. So Roblox, even weaker. This one's already in that golden pocket. And so this one, I heard some chatter about potentially being a buy at some point in here. I think long-term probably, yeah. Went from 25 to 150, all the way back down to 50. Is probably going to catch here. I don't think they're going to zero. And long-term, this could be a recovery name where one day we might be looking back going, man, I wish I bought that high or low. Do I really think it's going to do this? No. But, maybe more like this. Whoa. Yeah, maybe in 5 years or something. So if you're a long-term investor, you really like Roblox, go for it, I guess. Go for it, I guess. Let's see. All right, this is the review more than one ticker in a row without getting distracted challenge. All right, we did Hood, Amazon. I'm going to power through these because I do want to see what people picked and why their ports are working or dying here. Amazon trying to hold either a higher low or what looks to be potentially a bear flag. We're seeing a lot of these failures on these bases, and that's pretty sketchy. Could be big old bear flag. Could carve out a higher low, surge up, and move back to fill some of this negative space. Going on from Amazon, he's also short Baba. I have a very, very tiny position of Baba long, and it's getting clobbered. I think I need to wait for 100 to even add. It's a very long-term position to me. Like, again, this is one... People think I'm crazy for having faith long-term in China, but I do. But I do. Certain names. Baba, I don't think it's going anywhere. I like PDD. I like Baidu. Tencent. I think these are all trading at very, very cheap multiples. So when they finally get a catalyst, which could be a while, probably going to be starting with the first China talk, Xi Trump talk. But we have 4 scheduled for this year. I think that these names will outperform SPY, but they are not right now. I'll say that. Yeah, Hercules Jack wants to talk space names. We will definitely get into that. We did MicroStrategy. All right, we got to look at what Josh Smith is cooking with here. What led to the Dream Team's downfall? He was short term, so he should be sitting okay. But his biggest position was PRSO, and I think this is the one that got him. Because on Monday, the 16th, yeah. So he's in this one at 165. He's a prisoner. He's down a lot. Yeah, a lot. We'll call it a lot on that. Also, long Tesla and Palantir. I don't know if that's going to be helping him. Long Tesla's hurting. Pretty bad. This one's in a pretty big breakdown here. Quite a significant level that it's getting flushed. I want to pull this back to a weekly real quick. When like you try to get in somebody's car and they try to, like, when you pull it, they unlock it so it doesn't work. And you do that dance like 5 times. That's me trying to get this frame to work. There we go. Okay, I got the click. There we go. All right. Every time I click the menu, it would go away. All right. So I think that this probably needs a 50% retrace at this point. It's just a spectacular double top failure at this point with months and months of sideways action that's just starting to move down. This is the first area of interest for you Tesla bulls. It's a retest of the breakout. It's also the 50% of the range. It's also 350, nice round number. We watch for buyers there. Realistically speaking, I don't know if it catches, and I think probably 275 to 300 is where you're going to find buys, 270 to 300. And this thing would be somewhere in here. Somewhere in here is where I would like to see it catch. So maybe 300 around May, something like that. So I think if we get a retest, if we get a bounce up to 380, I might be starting a position in Tesla short. Because we're starting to have to be realistic, guys. Either I have to sit and do nothing for a while, or I have to start taking some swings short. And hope that I start getting stopped out of those, like I started getting stopped out of my longs, and then we can start, being more serious about the accumulation. But I gotta accumulate stuff I believe in, even if I think it's going lower, just because I gotta buy something. But I gotta have active positions to hedge that too, outside of just like options, I think, because we could be in a sustained downtrend. And we might be getting to the point where it might be better to start defining your risk on longs with options if volatility chills out. That's the thing, though, because then you're buying with high IV and you can't really do leaps or something because, well, you're paying for the premium of that volatility. Hey, NH617, welcome in. NASDAQ is about to grab liquidity at all-time highs at 321, so that's quite a call. Mr. NH saying we need to sweep all the way back up to this double top. Talking about grabbing liquidity makes me think maybe you're an ICT disciple. So we have the relative equal highs. We have the breakout imbalance that we are retesting. Does it displace? Did it just displace? Or did it just turtle soup? I love the lingo. I'm here for it. I don't know. We'll find out. What I will say is that any bounce needs to reclaim moving averages. You can see on the weekly, we're getting a crossover on the 920s. Big top wicks every time it's over. This is not what you want to see. So we're going to do a little thought experiment real quick for you all. A little thought experiment. All right. There's rules though. You gotta. I gotta take the watermark off to do this. All right, fine. I won't quiz you. But I'm still gonna show you the chart. My question would have been. I'm very dumb. I forgot how fractions work there. There we go. My question would have been, is this a chart that you think is viable? Is this a chart that you would long? Or is this a chart that you would short? That's my question to you. If I brought you this chart and you knew nothing about it, would you be more inclined to be long or short? Say if you had to guess the price in a month. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, that far out. Would you be inclined to be long this or short this? Honest questions. Or honest answers only. It is an inverse, absolutely. I'm not being sneaky. It is on the screen here, 1 over QQQ. But it's a little sketchy, right? This is something that's showing a lot of volume coming in as it's curling up. Oscillator-wise, we're right in the middle of the range, but we're expanding upwards on a weekly. What about a daily oscillator? We're starting to get overbought, but it's very aggressive. When you're starting to get overbought, like right here, maybe you come down a little, but you still have room if there's room on that weekly. There's room on the weekly before we get overbought. What about the monthly? This is where it gets scary, guys. What if, and I don't want to alarm you, do not want to be like everybody else on FinTwit and start posting the most doomer charts ever. But what if this is a long-term bottom on this inverse chart? The monthly gave us a nice crossover signal there at the bottom. Let's look at the last time we got one of these. Last time we got a buy signal on the monthly, it actually came down quite a bit, but it did end up needing to cool off significantly. So we did get a bit of follow through there. This time, overbought or oversold crossover signal, gave another significant pop there. We're just expanding here. I don't think that the sell is over. I don't think the sell is over. It could do one of these on the oscillator here. Make a new low. It could do something like that. So I will definitely be watching in a few months, assuming, assuming continued weakness for that long-term catch. I do not think we are going back to QQQ 300 or anything, but I'm just not ready to buy this dip yet. Here's the monthly. We're going to take away our drawings. We can drop a lot and still be very bullish, and the market still is fine. The United States is still fine. The world is still fine. I mean, fine being a relative term, of course. This is still pretty high up there. What the heck are you guys talking about? Sulfuric acid. Oh, supply chain stuff. Yeah, we need energy. We need helium, sulfuric acid. Yes, we do. All coming through Hormuz. Okay, NH saying 2022 lows. 2022 lows. So I've been hearing some buzz that this is starting to feel like 2022, and it's not the worst comparison. I think there's a lot of differences, but in terms of charts, $2022 lows would be, man, I think that we have a lot of roadblocks before we start talking about that, or a lot of forks in the road. The biggest being any major washout, major crash, not correction, not 10% correction, major crash, 20% or more. It's going to get really hard to push down much lower than this 400 level. That's what I think. And I'll tell you why. So you're dead on, I think, in defining the 2022 lows as the cycle lows, as the thing that if it's the end of the U.S. hegemony, then that's the level where things really break down and get messed up. That would be where the 200 month comes up to as well, if we just flushed in the next 6 months, right? This would be very bad for the world. But even then, it's not going to be a straight shot that far. This would be insane. This would be like world ending, I think. What I think is much more likely is big crash washout still catches here. And even in the worst case, we still run up pretty high. Obviously, this is hard to predict because major things would happen to cause a big crash. But just from a technical perspective, this zone, it's a lot going on there. So 50% of the major range, it's this previous swing high. It's a level where we actually broke out. It's the level we retested on the tariff crash before surging higher. So any major news catalyst that would change the outlooks in a similar magnitude or greater, likely greater than the tariff news, that would need to occur. But even then, I think that there would be a significant mean reversion bounce on some kind of news, because the world governments would have to do something to try to assuage fear, stabilize supply chains, all that kind of stuff. So it just we have so much that would have to happen before we get down here that it's Sure, a fun thought experiment, I guess. But realistically, crash targets, I think, put us somewhere at 400 to, at the very worst, like 450, 465 here, this big top of the volume shelf. I would be very, very surprised if we lost 342. Yeah, 50% retrace since 2008. Healthy thing, absolutely. And I like where your head's at, dude. A lot of people, especially in here, no offense, but this is a short-term trading focused kind of environment, prop trading firms and whatnot. A lot of people kind of miss out on these much bigger cyclical things. And I think it's important to just keep them on your radar, especially at times like this, where everybody's so sure we can't go down. But we've only been going down for a few months, So yeah, lots to think about here. Oh, the R word, Josh. Not that R word. Recession. Recession. Yeah. Well, we're gonna hear a lot about that as sentiment will follow price action. I remember, who remembers the vibe session? The vibe session where everybody you knew in your life, unless you were a very successful white collar worker, so congratulations. But most people were not doing nearly as well as everybody on CNBC said they should be doing. That vibe session of things aren't actually bad. People are just being a bummer. Meanwhile, they're going, look at how high jobs numbers are. There's no unemployment. Yeah, well, because everybody's working 3 jobs doing, Uber Eats and, DoorDash and whatnot. That, the gig economy numbers definitely helped produce a narrative that seemed to decouple the financial world from the real world, right? And so I don't know. I had a point. I had a better point. Sorry, guys. Let's get a little less existential and big picture here. Let's get back to this challenge. NH, you got me thinking the world is going to end here. You got me thinking about possibilities, contingencies. Now, I think we'll figure it out. I think it'll be a sustained period of pain here, though, and we should be expecting that. What goes up 20% year over year over year over year? Must chill at some point. Must chill. Yeah, good luck, NH. Good to have you in here, man. Hope we see you again. Is the world going to end, Mike? I hope not. But if so, you know what they say. If they launch the nukes, full port long, because either way, you won't have to worry about it much anymore. Yeah, gig economy. Everybody's working 3 jobs. I don't know, guys. I find myself at a kind of interesting pivot here societally. I think I have a decent insight on both sides, being that I work with primarily white collar, successful people who are relatively insulated from the biggest headwinds of today's labor economy at this point. They're starting to get a little scared too, as middle managers start getting targeted by these AI job cuts. But there was a big bifurcation for years that's starting. I see the jaws starting to kind of close, where there's this gap between this, this economy, which on paper, GDP-wise, everything like that is doing very well. The stock market's doing very well. But your average person is taking on more consumer debt. They're having a harder time keeping up with the rising cost of everything. Inflation's been not good to the consumer. And the biggest part is that despite what CNBC was telling you for months and months, there was absolutely price gouging. There was absolutely many instances where price elasticity was not passed on to the consumer. And maybe I'm using that a little incorrectly, but what I mean by that is that, okay, eggs went up, okay, grocery store charges more for eggs, okay, I pay more for eggs, okay, eggs go down. Eggs do not drop as much in the grocery store as they do on the charts. Who's pocketing the difference? Well, sure ain't me, though. That's what I know. So we are going to be seeing more and more reality being injected with the financial narrative, which was all sunshine and roses up until a few months ago when we stopped screaming upwards and to the right. So now sentiment will follow price. We'll start hearing these doomer narratives get bigger and bigger and bigger. And once Time magazine has a cover like, is the world ending? Should you sell every tech thing that you own? That's probably when you should start looking to buy, But sentiment is going to be not great here as we digest major range lows and decide whether this is the end of a multi-year bullish regime and we need to have like a 2022 kind of washout, extended washout, or whether we can somehow miraculously do a snapback rally and keep on climbing like the tariffs situation. Coach TB letting me know that if eggs drop, they break. Coach, I worked for a, what do you call it? I worked for multiple farms. I worked for a family farm. Then I worked for some produce distribution companies. I have transported enough eggs to for a lifetime. So trust me, brother. I know they break and they're messy, and it's hellish when it happens in a delivery van. But you got to crack a few eggs to make an omelet. So those are the eggs I had to crack to get here, I guess. Josh was waiting for his mailman to start complaining. Yeah, I was getting a little hesitant when you guys know, you'd go out to a bar and everybody would have a stock pick for you. Everybody would feel like a genius. Everybody showing you their Robin Hood. That's not great. That's that's like when you're getting stock advice from your shoe shine, right? When your shoe shine's giving you stock advice, it's probably time to get out of the market. You know, when your neighbor's telling you that he just made a bag flipping pictures of pixelated kitty cats on the internet, you know. I'm just saying there were signs. Right? So so we gotta keep our wits about us here. Oh guys, all right. Oh Joe, you're making me so hungry. Corned beef hash and poached eggs. That is breakfast of kings. So that is in my top 3 breakfasts of all time. Other top 2 are gonna be eggs Benedict. So another poached egg classic. That hollandaise, I could drink hollandaise out of a 2-liter big gulp, 7-Eleven cup. I would take that trade for however many years it knocked off my life. Top 3 also, you got to go with some fried chicken and waffles. Fried chicken and waffles with some fresh spun like honey butter. Oh man. Eggs Benny? Yeah, you could bathe in it. That's what I'm talking about. Just apply it directly to my skin. I will enjoy it via osmosis. Oh man. Yeah, those got to be top 3 breakfast foods. And really, let's be real, those are just top 3 foods, because breakfast is an all-day event in this house. You could do without the waffles. I respect that. You more of a pancake guy? That's respectable. Guys, we've gotten to the breakfast food portion. I will be a good streamer. We'll finish up the stock picks of everybody here. We're gonna talk about what got us to this place, but then we are gonna wrap up in a pretty short time frame here, because I think everybody wants to enjoy their weekend. It's been a hell of a week, guys. Got to take care of yourself after getting beat up like this in your long-term ports. If you're green on your long-term port, send me your stock picks, because probably most of us are not having a great time there. So we just got to do what we can, right? We conserve the mental capital. We conserve the actual capital. If things aren't looking good and we don't have a long-term horizon, we got to bite the bullet, take the hit, and save that cash for where it can be used best. Got to keep hedges on if you are holding those long-term positions, and just don't worry too much. Things will come back. If they're good, they'll come back. If they're not, it's time to be making sure you like what's in your port, I would say. All right, guys. Joe's going to Cracker Barrel. I'm gonna hit these out, and then I'm gonna cook myself up something nice here. So we talked about Josh's picks. We talked Chris's picks. We're gonna just go down the list here. Kevin Avery. We have the big battle short. Battalion Oil Corporation had an insane move, guys. An absolute mechanical squeeze on this Iran situation. What a beautiful, beautiful flag. If anybody was in here, geez, beautiful setup. Absolutely explosive. We need to come back on down. Now we're consolidating in a 4-bar bear pattern, bear flag here. Under all moving averages that matter. I think we need to come back down here to 9, test the 10 proper. So start looking for buyers if they do arise under 10. Otherwise, we are headed back down to this big old volume shelf. See that gap there, guys? From 8 to 6 is just dead air. It's just nothing there, guys. If it loses 8, it goes to 6. Fast. Keep this on your radar. Toxan, Steve, just trade what you see. And, this is a great point, because I fall into this trap a lot. I know it, but then I have to go on stream and I have to talk about something. I have to just keep talking, about a chart. And I'll find myself overthinking and starting to plan for contingencies that serve me no purpose here. Like, it was a good thought experiment what NH was talking about, potentially sweeping those 2022 lows. But that's so far off in the distance. That's so many setups down the road. So much new information will arise between now and then that nobody is going to predict. Like I said, all numbers on your screen are wrong right now, depending on what happens in the Middle East. That's just true regardless. All numbers are, in a constant state of flux. And I thought I was saying something more profound. That's pretty obvious. Price is always in a dispute between buyers and sellers to find that fair agreement. Today, and in the past 4 days for battle, that's been $12. That can change very fast. A week ago, that fair price was 20. You know, in a week, maybe it's 6. But what can we do? We can look for signs, but we can't predict. If we come down to 8, and I'm saying, man, looks like empty space to 6, but we find a big buyer, well, plan changes, right? It held the shelf. We can gravitate back up to the middle of the shelf at 12 and decide there. So like Talk's saying, we gotta focus on being, in some sense, proactive, planning for contingencies, being ready for alternate plans than what you would anticipate. But at the end of the day, we just got to keep on trading with the new information and let the chips fall where they may, It's the best we can do. Not sticking with ideas that aren't working. Keep cutting the weeds to water the flowers, and not vice versa, guys. All right, so Kevin Avery with the battle. We talked that. We've talked Tesla. He's long Tesla. That's hurting. SoFi, long as well. This one's going to be a little bit painful. And this just goes to show that when you size up on your conviction, this battle, everything else can kind of do whatever. For example, this week, I'm not green on the month. I'm not going to lie to you. But this week, I actually am green because VG was an amazing trade for us. And those asymmetrical upside little looks, little punts that we take, it only takes a few of those good plays to counter out a bunch of stop outs, because I'm not letting those losses get really big. And I'll let the wins rip, So that's what you got to do here. SoFi chopping out a potential bottom, but I don't know if I'm seeing it. This could potentially just squeeze on down, because this is consolidation in a downward matter. This is very these bars from one day to another, they're not moving very much, right? So if we flip the SoFi chart, this looks like a chart that might squeeze out the top before it's done. I also don't like that this lower low occurred and that it still is not really finding significant buyers. It is technically holding this, but if it loses this, I think it snowballs pretty quick here. SoFi, some bad asset-backed debt, Talk is saying. Talk has been all over this, by the way. All over this from the beginning of the year, saying, don't long this. I was saying, I kind of want to long it. He's saying, I wouldn't long this. I was like, I think I'm going to long it. He's like, I wouldn't long it. And I said, all right, fine, I won't long it. I didn't short it, though. But he's been dead on. He was saying this up here, by the way. Saying it up here. Got to give flowers when due. Speaking of which, Talk apparently, you're in VG from under 6? Good golly, Miss Molly. What a play. Great googly moogly. I always want to pull it up on Trader Evolution. I don't know why. They don't like VG. OLEO, an olive oil play? That sounds fun. We got to look at OLEO. Come on, not on here either. Is this OTC maybe? Let's look at it on TradingView. Symbol doesn't exist. You messing with us? Pulling a fast one on us, coach? Is this really not a... It's just nothing? Are there olive oil futures? Apparently there's a global index. I don't think you can buy it. This does look bullish, though. Big consolidation, washout, breakout, backtest. Maybe I'll be researching some olive oil stocks this weekend. See what you guys are all about. How's potash? Potash? I still don't know how to say it. This is probably very embarrassing for anybody with 4 or more brain cells listening to me talk. I don't know. I think it's still good. I'm still in NTR. I'm break even now. I took one trim at 85, which probably was where I should have just closed it completely. So now I'm back to break even. 74 is my entry. Up tiny bit. This thing just got, I don't know. I think it just got ahead of itself. I think it still is in an upward channel here. If it loses this, really if it loses this is where I'd be worried. This big high volume shelf, the rising 50. Do I want to hold it that long? This is when I got to reevaluate. I do all my reevaluations on Sunday of all my positions. If they haven't like hit a level, hit a trigger, you know, like I had a trigger, or I have a, yeah, it's 74 exactly. I have an alert on my Webull where I hold this, or sorry, Thinkorswim where I hold this, and yeah, 2 cents away from getting triggered. So I'll have to reevaluate. I'm not sure. I don't like this candle losing the 21. It's a bad sign. I should have added an alert there, I think. But I am working on building something, so I don't have to deal with the limited alerts in here, and I want to have the modular alerts of being off of a loss of actual TA signals, like this moving average, for example, or a high volume shelf. So I do have something in the works. I'm building a lot of cool stuff, guys. We're gonna have some fun in this year. So first up will be the Gex dashboard that I'm building. I'll show you that real quick. Give you a little sneak peek. So it's not going to be hooked up to live price right now because I don't want to open up my Thinkorswim live and show you all my password. But this is a snapshot of today. And what this is going to be, once I have it fully honed down, this is a live updating Gex profile chart showing the flows coming in, all this stuff changes actively. And I know it's like information overload. So right now I built a bot that just snips this chart area and posts it every 10 minutes along with key levels, key support and resistances that are formed by these high gamma nodes, and as well as like higher time frame, like a daily big moving average that I'm watching. So that's all bundled in. I'm working on getting this ready to ship. Eventually it'll be a web app. You'll be able to switch through expiries a lot more easily than entering it in on a spreadsheet and all that good stuff. Because you know what, guys? I think this is really important information, and I think that we're seeing an influx of people being interested in gamma exposure going forward here. And because of that, all of the free resources have started to go paid. So for now, this is free. If you come into my Discord, we got next week we'll have it going full all week, this Gex scanner essentially. But I want to get it to the point where it's really polished and then offer it for a very fair price, because all these guys are doing like 100 a month and stuff, and I think that's kind of crazy. So that's the long-term goal, but I'll stop pitching my book. I'm just excited because now we're at this point where we can code and build cool stuff. So that's the other thing. Coming up in the next couple months, I'm going to be working on some webinar series about how to build cool stuff for yourself. So you don't have to rely on me or anybody else, and I want to teach y'all how to fish. That's what we're all about here at Trade the Pool. So we got Michael as well doing a lot of crazy cool stuff on his automated stuff. I think eventually he'll start doing a little more content on that as well. But we really want to teach you guys to take advantage of all the new tools that are available for retail traders. So it's really going to be a very exciting year. Really, really looking forward to it. Mike, that matrix you just saw, this is a gamma exposure dashboard I'm working on. So what this does is basically throughout the day, people are buying and selling calls and puts, 0 DTE calls and puts. So this is capturing that movement. And for example, you can find very key levels that act as magnets or pivots. And just from this chart, we could see that 65.95, so 6,600, that was a big level, and 6,500. And we can pull up the SPX chart intraday. Mark these levels out for you real quick and see how they interacted. 65.05 and 64.90 formed like a base, right? So that was the big level to the downside that was the target. And you could see earlier in the day, this was smaller and then it kept building and building. So this gave us a reason to believe that we could reach down to here. It also gave us a reason. I was not trading actively. I did not take this trade to the downside, although it does look like it was a pretty decent sign of a chance to move down there. What I did though, is I came and checked in the market right about the time that we were bottoming. And I said, hey, this is our key level. This is our key level. So I took a little call right there. It's 6 on the reclaim of 649. 6490. Yeah, 6490. The bottom of this, basically. Thinking that, hey, we washed out, we've been way down all day. And so that just is a little example of how you can use this to inform your trading. Definitely the plays would have been to see these nodes growing to the downside as we were above them and anticipate a draw down to that liquidity level. So because these are all happening intraday, this is going to be the most responsive tool that you can use to gauge relative strength or of a market in terms of very short-term moves, right? Very short-term level-to-level moves. So it's very, very cool. And I see a ton of people on Twitter doing this kind of thing. And it's become like the hot thing. I don't know if anybody knows like Heat Seeker. You've probably seen that on Twitter in the past couple months. That's essentially what this is. Unusual Whales does this. Tradethepool, just about every service does this. So I wanna build my own. That's what I'm doing. So maybe I won't teach you how to build that exactly, but I will teach you how to build some really cool stuff. I'm still learning how to build that, by the way. Whoops, close the wrong one there. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. We're gonna go through the last of these picks. I'm getting too distracted talking about all the cool stuff that I want to do. Hey, Farm Trader, welcome, by the way. How you doing? How you doing? Good to see some new faces in here. MU. So this is one long position that I do still hold. Not sure what it's doing yet. I think it's backtesting the breakout. It's holding moving averages. This is one of the very few tech longs that I'm still interested in looking for an entry in. I did get in at 395, so right at open on this day. Not a big position though. I have less MU than I did when I was holding in this range from this zone. So I came back almost to break even. I stopped out on a loss of 400. I was hoping to buy right at my initial buy price down here at 350. We did not quite get there. But I saw the relative strength. I saw 390, 395, 400 as a big level that if we could reclaim, we'd get a pop, a nice squeeze to new highs. So that's why I'm in. I want more. I only have a quarter position size. So that's kind of where my head's at. There's very few things that I'm interested in long, but I'm just seeing the relative strength in these, and I think that they can potentially keep going. If these moving averages fail severely, especially if this 50 fails, this gap here fails, then it's sketchy. So I think it could hold these moving averages, base a few days, a week or two, as market goes down or sideways or potentially up a little, and then we could try to kind of go higher. I do think that with market weakness, we could see a washout down here to this zone, and it would be right at my buy entry, so I would be adding back there. Hercules Jack looking for next. Yes, we will talk other stocks briefly. I do have to, can't go forever here. Hercules Jack, are you in my server? You should definitely join. More than happy to get into those charts there. So I can't promise on stream, but what I will do is I will give y'all an invite link here. Type in here. And accidentally opening up the Inspect Elements tab. That's not what I want. There we go. All right. So that link is to my Discord. Go on in there. Feel free to join the discussion. We got some really good traders. I always say the biggest selling point is that I am by far not the best trader in there. There's people doing this much longer and much more skilled than me in there, and we're lucky to have them. So come on in and start learning. Palantir is up next on our list here. Palantir, to me, honestly, this one's tough. So this is like very indecisive here, and I think it's going to be a good litmus test for the strength of these kind of prior market leaders, especially in the overvalued, quote unquote, high multiples department. So we failed to reach through the 60. We are trying to hold over the 62 here. We failed at the 50, before the 50. We're trying to hold here. This flag is sus. Why is it sus? Today's candle is sus. It did hold the range. It closed under the 9 for the first day. it had a really nice 4-day flat top attempt to like get a really nice base and squeeze here, and it failed that today. To be fair, market tape was very red. This thing's not as red as most of the market is. It's holding this range while SPY's, down here basically. So that's relative strength that can't be ignored. You also have to factor in that Palantir is not like other software as a service. They have tailwinds that get packaged in with these geopolitical things, right? They make stuff that helps kill people. So, and more importantly, help keep people monitored. So you can't rule it out like you can for a lot of tech. Just because SPY goes down doesn't mean Palantir goes down. But I'm a little bit hesitant to say that this flag is likely to break out. I think that maybe it's likely to come back and retest some of this poor structure. Some of that. Definitely this. I think this is the breakaway gap that's kind of holding us. This fails, we retest this. And then probably, gun to my head, by then market gets its feet under it and it can put in a higher low and start going back up. I don't think Palantir's dead, but it could be. I'd be open to it. And we would know if this fails catastrophically and then we sweep these multiple lows. That will be a sign that, hey, any pop, you probably short. And that would look something like big sweep down, big dead cat, short that, comes down, forms a new low, another dead cat, short that when it gets weak. Then it breaks down, backs test, goes much deeper. That would probably be like 100. That would probably be like Palantir 100 if it did that. But for now, Kevin is short, and he's been making no money but losing no money. I think he's probably very close to break even on this. From the open here, he's just went green today after being cooked a little bit for a few days. So Palantir short could definitely still work. Moving on to the house. The house does not always win when they're up against Chris Hung. To be fair, it's hard to put up numbers like that. So Michael Katz, our CEO, he is short everything. He's short everything. He's short Dash. Hey, Bennett. Good to see you, man. How was your week? He's short Dash. Looks like it may be starting a big breakdown. It's trying so hard to hold this line. Is this any significant level on a higher time frame, perhaps? Let's find out. All right, you know the deal. Big range, high to low. Where are we? Right in the middle. Of course we are. Incentive is down. This was constructive for a bearish move. We got the bearish move. It back tested the 21-week, rejected that, now closed below the previous week's low. Very bearish. Very bearish. Where do we target? Well, there's going to be some mixed tape in this little V area. Whenever you have a big move up, it comes down and then proceeds to go on a big move. This creates a zone of interest. A lot of shares were traded here on this potential top and then on this potential bottom and then on the push through. So that's 3 nodes here at the bottom and top of this range where there was high volume, an influx of high volume. This forms a zone. This zone aligns with our golden pocket between these two lines. This zone aligns with this 50-month moving average, and I bet you it aligns with the 200-week moving average as well. Looks like we don't have enough price history for a 200-week, but I bet you it'd be somewhere around here. So guys, looking heavy, don't long this. Looks like it's losing this, and what we could see is a bit of a head and shoulders. So maybe you do get a pop before big short. Perhaps. If Dash does pop to 195 to 200, I think that's a really nice short. Especially if it happens fast. Because if it happens fast, you can assume that it will fade fast too, and then you'll have the momentum with you into these moving averages, into a higher time frame setup, which wants to push lower and seek liquidity down here, I believe. Tuck's saying he likes the pair trades here. Short Dash, long Uber. Let's look at Uber really quick, see if I can bless that. I still think that Uber might be a bear flag here. I think they're a better company than Dash. I think that they have a lot more levers to pull in terms of kind of figuring out how to become a part of this ecosystem when Waymo is so dominant. Either way, Uber is a good company. I think they're still a good company. I think they're probably a very good value down here. So I don't hate being in the rideshare space with this kind of pair trade because you can bet on Uber outperforming Dash, and eventually Uber probably makes highs. I don't know if Dash ever makes new highs. I don't know. I don't know enough about them. Seems like a very competitive space. Let's see. Hey, Michael Anthony. Talking Tiger? I love that name. I used to trade it a lot. Let's take a look at it. What's it doing? All right, gun to my head. Not gun to my head. Just if I had to guess here, I bet Tiger is still in that $10 to $12 range. Oh, it died. Okay. So these guys are Southeast Asian Robinhood, I believe. Maybe Chinese. They're definitely Asian broker, Asian options broker. Interesting play. They tend to be very. They're a pain in the ass. I've made a good amount of money on some of these squeezes, and I've lost a good amount of money expecting one of these squeezes to hold. So it's kind of on my no trades list, and this kind of makes sense that it's breaking down, I guess. Tiger uppercut. No, but I want to. I'm sure that's a banger reference to somebody. All right, what else? Microsoft. Got to talk Microsoft. Oh yeah, and we're cooking on time here. We're over an hour, so I'm gonna try to go a little fast. I got some Friday plans. I'm allowed to have a life 2 days a week. That's the rules. So Microsoft, big neckline here. Big neckline. Let's see what it does. This was a big area of consolidation before saving and squeezing. Just the gnarliest double top ever. It had to do the classic. Had to tell you who it was. M for Microsoft. I got 5 points. Why can't I draw an M? There we go. M for Microsoft with 1 extra. There we go. So, spelled it out for us. What's it going to spell next? Is this going to be a rough bottom that's forming? I think it's possible. I think it's possible, just noting the trajectory of this. It could want to curl up. It could also be saying, hey, we tried, we failed, we need to go lower. So I don't know. This is a name that I'm in. It's not a name that I particularly expect to be up on Monday. It's not a name that I anticipate on selling if it's down on Monday either. So that's where I'm at. We'll see how this carves out, but man, it's quite a washout. I will say there is some bottom wicks here, but it swept the low. It's not a good sign. Microsoft will switch to hardware. They will be renamed as Macro Hard. I like it. I like it. That's a good rebrand. Because software is dead now, right? Because we don't need that anymore. Even enterprise stuff that everybody is so ingrained in that they can never leave if they wanted to. A big thing about making the decision to build in-house software to deal with a something that was prior handled by a third party is that you are taking on the risk that they previously did, especially in areas like, oh, I don't know, cybersecurity, or I don't know, I don't know, I'm dumb, I don't know, but stuff, you know, but stuff. Oh, we got Michael Noss long Mara. That is an interesting one. I think he was betting on mean reversion and basically picking the worst, the worst crypto miner. The one that had the most to gain. So far, looks like something I want to short more. Looks like another bear flag. But good luck, Michael Noss. The Mad Quant. Who else do we got? We got a Nets team. We haven't talked to Nets team yet. Annette taken up a big position in Marvell Semiconductors. This is an interesting chart and actually showing a lot of relative strength here. Marvell's interesting. They had the post-earnings gap set up here. We're kind of deciding whether it's going to hold or fail, I think. Nice flag so far. Decent flag. Not the worst structure. Holding moving averages. So keep watching these bands. The 687 level looks pretty important. 688 to 677 looks like a pivot of this new flag that we're trying to hold. And let's keep an eye on it. This is a name that's traded sideways for years and years and years in a big range. I do think Marvell, solid company. I think eventually they're going to break this range and be trading higher. How long does it take? I don't know. But this is good volume coming in on this gap up and showing relative strength. So we'll see. Real quick, let's just pop into SMH in general. Also relative strength. So the memory stock's really helping out. Analog stock, stuff like that. Michael the lumberjack. Someone asked him how many trees he cuts down before breakfast. Yeah, that's he's got the flannel. He's got the. It's funny. I always thought the view behind him was a green screen. Like no, that he just lives in like the pristine Canadian wilderness. He I won't dox him, but one time he posted a picture of his temperature and the town name he's in, and it sounds like not a real place. It sounds like a made up Canadian town in the Riverland somewhere in the. So, shout outs to Michael in your made up home. Looks very very nice there. Mike is G, absolutely great guy. I would say, like it's crazy how funny he can be for being a robot. You know, like I thought that they didn't program the humor into those yet, but I guess not. I guess he's a prototype. All right, Annette, what else is she in? She's short CCK. What's CCK? Crown Holdings. Annette, what are you cooking up? What are you conjuring? I don't know what the heck this is, but it is dropping like a rock. So great call shorting that. That's a big gain there. Looks like about 10% from Monday. Nice move there. You're long Adobe. Long Adobe, that's spicy. Yeah, that's probably weighing on you a little bit. And since Monday, you're roughly flat, but I think this one wants to maybe pop a little then go lower. Pinterest, rounding out her 5. With the jokes, I don't know. I don't know. Someone once told me I was funny, but I think they were crazy. Pins here. This is interesting. Top wicks into moving averages, trying to reclaim. Relative strength today is very interesting. Maybe it's finally done dropping, but this thing is a dumpster fire. I have a value investor friend who's been following this one for a long time. I don't think he's in, but I think he tried it up here. It just keeps repricing lower. All these companies that just like, they never really had a clear path to profitability, and now it's like, oh, how does AI help you? It doesn't. So it's just another headwind. I don't know. Oh no. Joe, it's are we roasting? It's in my community, it's an inside joke. Everybody's usually a little cranky on red days. So sometimes it's fight day. If it's too big of a red day in the market, sometimes we just we just talk a little trash, get it out of our system. All in good spirits, of course. Always in good spirits. You got to be on your fellow trader's side. You can't be voting against them. I had somebody in my server who was trying to make everything a competition. It's not a competition between you and me, brother, you know? It's a competition between you and yourself. It's a competition between me and myself. Every day I try to trade a little better than yesterday. About 40% of the days I don't, you know? But every week I try to trade better. About 35% of the weeks I don't. Every month I try to trade better than the last. About 30% of the time I don't. But you see, it's just about 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Slowly learning and making that progress, guys. So be kind to your fellow trader. It's hard out there. We're also in a very isolating industry, which I think is why a lot of you guys come here. You know, it's hard because people in normies, civilians, they don't get it. They don't get it. They think we're either gambling or just wizards, you know? And it's usually somewhere in the middle, right? It's it's we're gambling a little. We're also not just out here just taking punts either. So that can be very isolating. People don't get it. And it's also just a job with a lot of screen time. Just you and yourself, you and your mind, you know? So great to have communities. I think this is a real great service that we offer, and I'm really happy to be a part of it because it's great for me too. So guys, did we get through all the teams yet? No, I keep like doing wrapping up spiels and then realizing I have more stocks to cover. So we're gonna keep on powering through. We still got 77 with us here. I appreciate each and every one of you there. Appreciate all of y'all. Baba, we talked Baba. It's in the trash. I didn't even want to talk Baba. I meant to pull up BA. Just the muscle memory of being a China-holic. I always want along the China stocks. Sometimes I even do. Sometimes I even make money every once in a while. All right, we're getting some lag here. Let's go to... I ain't waiting for that. Boeing. Testing. This major downtrend level, I think this looks like a failure. I don't like it. Could it save at the weekly? Could it save at this downtrend line? It could. I don't like it, though. Uptrend line violation. Whenever you see these uptrend line violations, you better be ready for some downside action. Very repeatable pattern. You can look for this intraday too. See these inflection points? I'll draw them out for you. What occurred in all three of these circles? Let me know. What do you guys see in all three of these circles? What happened here, here, and here? Obviously this downtrend line break, but what else helps build confluence that this is the end of a bit of an upside trend and that we need to retest a higher low? Come on, guys. There's 81 of you in here. There's 4 new people in here. Somebody's got an answer. What do we see in this green circle, and this green circle? They're all where these uptrend lines break. But what else is going on in all these? Let me zoom in even more for you. All right, you got 30 seconds while I get water. Don't disappoint me. All right. Damn, none of you are going to tell me that my hair looks all messed up? It's not cool. That's not cool. It's time for a trim. All right, guys, I see no answers, I got to tell you. What we see at each of these circles, each of these pivots, is the loss of our moving average ribbon on the weekly here. So see our yellow? That's our 21, and our blue, that's our 9. The gap in between, if it's filled in yellow here, light yellow, that means that we're in the uptrend, we're holding over these. If the 9 crosses below this 21, it flips blue. See how this is the inflection point where we flip yellow to blue? Right here, very close, but it happens in the same circle. And right here, we got a very hard flip. Very hard flip. It's just starting. It's just about to print. But the velocity down, this blue will definitely close next week over this yellow, or under this yellow. And that's going to provide that cloud to start. Come on, let me draw. Oh, it's an eraser. All right, that's an eraser, guys. That explains it. So it forms a cloud that comes down like this. Every time price trades up into it, it's going to have a hard time. That's kind of the momentum that we see. What you would look for if you are a bull is something like this, where we do lose it and we get overextended and then we reclaim it sharply. So that's what a bull case would look like on something like this. A quick, sharp reclaim like that, moving up like that. Okay. Yeah, duopoly for Boeing and Airbus. We can see you, Mike. Get another crown. BA bought a company this week, I believe. So that could explain a little bit of the heaviness there. Market does not like acquisitions when we are in the process of deciding whether we're in a recession or not, you know. I said the R word. Whoops. My bad. So I don't know. I don't like this kind of look where it flags for weeks, pukes out, makes a higher high, tries to hold for a few weeks, then pukes out again. It is a higher low, but it's just so sloppy if this is a W. I would prefer, I don't know. I don't know. Let's watch the 200 week. I think I'm overthinking this. Let's just watch the 200 week, see what happens there. We're going to do one of these. One of these. There we go. There we go. My computer is running on fumes. I can hear the smoke. I can smell the smoke coming off of it, trying to load the Trader Evolution. We'll give it a break. Low is the last one here. Oh, no. We have a few more to talk about for Mitch. Low. He is short low, and it is low. This is a nice call here. Looks like it's breaching this 200 week moving average. Looks like it is on dire straits here. And again, we have this classic uptrend line. And here you see I started to draw one before. If I had finished it, if I had watched the rest of the chart play out, gave another one of these breakdowns here. Now we have another one. This is more aggressive. See, well, I'm sorry. This is a more aggressive uptrend. So it's more likely to flush out, but still kind of retain structure and bid up. This, like this, horizontal like this, makes me feel like it's going to be more powerful because it spent longer time trading sideways in this range. It swept liquidity up here. It got a bunch of more shorts tagged in after it popped here and rejected. It stopped a bunch of people out there. I misspoke. I'm sorry. What I meant to say is it stopped out a lot of shorts when it popped here. And so that gave a lot of pressure for it to come down there. All right. All right. 200 week there on low, LOW. What is low, by the way? Whoops. Oh, that's lows. How about that? Forgot about that one. I'm usually watching, what, Home Depot, HD? Also very weak. This one's actually leading down through the 200. And multiple lows here. I wonder if it needs to wash this all out. Pretty ugly chart. So IR is one that he's long in, though. This is Ingersoll Rand. Ingersoll Rand. What do they do? This is one of those, like, is that like ETN or something? One of those infrastructure or like just like, it's like, what do they exactly do? Oh, I don't know, infrastructure, like the grid. I don't know, something like that. Maybe it's one of those. Looks like it's retesting a breakout. It's less weak than the last one, but it does still have that kind of rising look where I'm not 100% sure if this is going to hold the line here or if it's going to get weak into here. And this is where I think we could see a little bit of a hint that this is going to break down. Because this 200 week is a big target, and we didn't hit it this time. So if we did reach down for this target, it would be breaking this downtrend line. So then a pop here might find new sellers that are playing the downtrend line backtest to come in and push it lower. So I would, what I will say though is that it's nice that the 200 week is above this previous low. Right there. So that it could hold the 200 and still, or catch the 200, test the 200 and still hold this low. It would be even worse if this high was up here, because then the incentive to pull it to the 200 would also make it a new lower low, which brings more bears into the market. So just something to consider as we're kind of in no man's land right here. So it could also just, these two bottom wicks could hold off the 50 week and it could curl on up, and this could be a breakout backtest. Industrial shizzle. Yeah, exactly. Make all sorts of stuff. Ingersoll Rand. All right, now I know. All right, and PEP. We got long PEP. That one's been hurting him a little bit there. So I had the breakout. I had the rejection off this uptrend line, and this because we're seeing such weakness in consumer staples, defensive plays. At least we were. Why do I feel like they've been weak? This isn't weak. Maybe I need to reassess. Well, Ute's getting hammered this week at least. Utilities need to retest this breakout level, very likely. Unless it's I guess it could wick up. What do you guys think? Okay, so if market really does just crash Do utilities just keep going down with it though, or does money start going into them? We will find out. Definitely heavy momentum down for now though. On the daily, weekly's testing. Weekly's testing a rejection and a start of a downtrend. Monthly, still looks good. It's overbought, but could get more overbought. So we'll see. All right, we have covered, I think, most of the teams here. We haven't talked about Valerie, and we got to because she's crushing, I do believe. Yeah, she's crushing. So she's long. She's crushing with a full port of longs here, by the way, guys. So we got to give her props. It's not easy to do. What's she in? Well, to start off, she's in Coinbase. Coin, very strong relative to the market. Very strong relative to the market. It did do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish kind of. It could potentially be a short-term wave impulse move and need to do a 1, 2, 3 correction back down somewhere here. I have these blocks marked up as where I'd like to buy. Not this one. That was for that move. At this point, I'd like to buy this. A higher low down here. Interesting chart, very strong, big relative strength. Good for me because I like crypto. I still have some crypto longs. Tesla, we talked about Tesla. We talked about MicroStrategy. SanDisk, haven't talked about it. It is strong, backtesting a breakout. Strong as heck, backtesting a breakout. So this one's definitely been doing her some favors because she got in on Monday at open. So she's currently sitting up 12%, was up 22%. Wow. Wowee. And Netflix, that's not it. There it is. Holding up okay, finding some buyers under the 21. For me, this is too aggressive of a move. So this was my path that I drew when we were up here. Expecting it to come back down somewhere around 85. At this point, I would redraw this line to say, I think this is enough. This gap fill, this neckline, and this 200-day or 50-day. So I'll be watching Netflix in the 85 to 88, 85 to 87 region. And Joe, refresh my memory here. Is it how many? I guess it doesn't matter. I'm very very low here. How many advance? Is it the top? Is it half? I would assume. So 6. I was holding in there till a few days ago. I was actually 4th a few days ago. But not no more. Not no more. All right, we talked Valerie's team. We talked Chris's team. Michael Katz, Michael Noss. I think we're just missing One-Eyed Joe. Mr. One-Eyed Joe. One-Eyed Joe likes the Bitcoin, just like me. He's in iBit. That's his proxy. That's just the straight-up Bitcoin ETF. BSOL. This is Solana staking, Bitcoin Solana staking. This is interesting and also relative strength. So we're full steam into the crypto stream or crypto theme so far. Rounding that out with a little bit of SaaS with a little bit of war flavor there in the Palantir. So the iBit, I think it's green from Monday. BSOL probably the same. Palantir, right about flat. Marvell, right about flat to a little green. And AMD is your short. The AMD actually holding up very strong. So this strength in chips, something to be watched. And AMD is starting to base here into a rising 200 after filling this, or testing the gap after filling back to the previous high there. Oh, not quite. Not quite. Interesting. Interesting. After hours leader charts look terrible, just sad. I think it's time to call it then. I think it's time to call it for both of us. So guys, thank you so much for joining. Yeah, wow, hour and 45 minutes and we still got 80 viewers. I appreciate all y'all for hanging in there and hope it was fun, hope it was entertaining, and maybe you learned a little bit of something. So guys, I have been Steve Teilmann. I will still be Steve Teilmann next week when we do it again on Monday. So come on in and make sure to check us out because on Monday we're going to be doing round 2 of the Market Madness. Be there or be square. I will be there to support my coworkers who are trading much better than me in this competition. I will be there for the festivities, if not for the challenge itself. So be be sure to tune in. Thanks for being here. Huiji, thank you. Mike and Talk and all the regulars, as always. You guys are awesome. We're going to be doing it again next week, like I said. Monday morning, Michael Noss, Big Money Mitch. We got me in the afternoons, so in the power hours all week. I will also be filling in on Thursday for the call-in show going forward for Kevin. So it'll be me and Josh chopping it up there, having a nice little yap session on a weekly basis. So be sure to tune in on that. That will be Thursday at 11 o'clock market time, I do believe. And yeah, good times there. Also keep your eyes peeled. We got some more broadcasting coming up. Expect full all the way through on most days content, live content. Scanners are great, but we want to be with you live all the time. So keep your eyes peeled for more great content coming your way. We are just ramping up here at Trade the Pool, and I'm so excited to be a part of the team. So guys, that's what I got for you. If you like what I got, find me on Twitter at Steve Teilmann. My Discord link, I dropped it above. It's also in my Twitter bio. That's where you can really find me all of the time. Thank you so much, guys. As Mike says, peace, love, and chicken grease. We're going to have a good one. Take care.